Now for welding cast iron with the DHC2000. As with all other metals, we're still running on just 4 pounds of each gas using the number 2 tip in most cases. If you're welding some real thin cast iron, a number 1 tip may work, and we do make a 2.5 tip for heavier stuff like large cylinder heads and blocks. Now we used the Peterson number 2 high heat flux. It must be a high heat welding flux, not a brazing flux. And a cast iron rod. That rod is made by Harris Weld Co. It's called a Castwell 111. It's not nickel, it is pure cast iron. Now we just heat the rod and dip it in the flux. We're going to preheat the metal just a little bit. Preheating and post-heating with cast is very important. However, with our gun, it is not as important as it is with the nickel rod or some of the other methods of welding. Now, this is an old Farmall Cub cylinder head. We've got some slots cut in it here, and what we're going to do is we're going to weld up one of those slots right there for you. Now, just heat the casting. An old gas grill makes a nice oven. You can just set the head in there, warm it up in the gas grill, weld it. If you don't have that, an old charcoal grill works fine. Put a charcoal fire under that head or whatever. Just a way to control the heat and heat it and cool it slowly. Again, I'm just warming it up here. Just kind of, as we say, knock the chill out of it. Heat my rod enough to make some flux stick to it. Coating of that flux on the rod. And as long as your cast iron doesn't have a lot of spider web cracks in it, it'll usually weld it. If you get some that's really been baked a lot, like exhaust manifolds on a motorhome or on an international dump truck is real bad about it, about really baking those manifolds. But if the cast looks normal, it's just got one crack in it or a couple cracks, it does a real nice job. So just go in on the metal. Again, we're preheating it just a little. We're just using that neutral flame. Get it to that red molten state. Touch the rod to the puddle, and it'll take a little while to melt the rod because it is a thick and heavy rod. But it'll start to flow like butter in a hot frying pan. Just keep the rod right there in the puddle. Melt you a little bit off. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take that torch, run it back and forth over that cast. See it start to spread out like butter in a hot frying pan. It just kind of sank in. You want to just melt you a little more of that rod off and continue along. You don't have to peen it as you go along like you do the nickel rod. Just heat it and flow it right back in. Again, that heat the flame. Just melt you a little more off. And to get you good penetration, again, you want to run that flame back and forth over it. And you'll see that puddle sink like it just did there. If you don't heat it up enough, it's not going to flow together. It'll just kind of ball up on top of it. So just flow it right in there. You can see right there on the film just how the puddle is flowing out. So you can float any cratering or porosity right to the top. You can see the pinholes coming back to the top. You can go back and work it in and make a very nice weld. You can grind it down, acid etch it. You won't be able to tell where it's been welded. Grind it, machine it, tap it. It's a lot softer than nickel. What we're doing here is post-heating the part. Post-heating is actually more important than the preheating. So you want to heat that whole piece up nice and warm. You've got an old gas barbecue grill, again, that really makes a nice oven. So you let that cool nice and slowly. You can stick it down in sand or lime, cover it with cardboard or an asbestos blanket. And that's what you want, is a nice smooth bead right there.